And this is Americans Modified Division, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour.
And those Whelen engineering lights illuminating this Monadnock Speedway here in Winchester, New Hampshire, as Whelen manufactured in America, the Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup, that extra bonus money, and that's why drivers like Matt Hirschman, Brian Roby, Nate Wenzel, Matt Kimball run this race. So they're yet to get aligned into their starting lineup, but we will go ahead and introduce to you the way that they will roll off here today. The Riverhead Building Supply, number 46, Craig Lutz, will start first from Billard Place, New York. Big money, Matt Hirschman, winner at Seekonk earlier this season, will start second. The Elite Towing, number 60.
Let's take a look at row number 2. Patrick Emmerling, the Fleetworks number 1, will start third on the grid. Stephen Kopsick, the first rookie driver, the Newtown Pools, will start in the 21 car in position number 4.
Row number 3, 8th in points for Trevor Catalano out of Ontario, New York, the Catalano Motorsports, number 56. Justin Bonsignor, he's a 5-time winner here at Monadnock Speedway, the Phoenix and Communications Incorporated, number 51.
Let's take a look at row number 4. Brian Roby, a New Hampshire State champion. The Bar Harbor Bank Machine, the Stingers, number 25, will start in 7th. Austin Beers, the quickest guy. Well, luck of the draw changed all of that. The G&G Electrical, Dell's Electric Machine, car 64 from Northampton, Pennsylvania, will start in the 4th row.
Starting 9th, Kyle Bonsignor from Bayshore, New York, the 22 Chalou Performance MTT Munz Auto Modified. Ron Silk, 2-time and defending series champion, Blue Mountain Machine, and Future Homes, number 16, starts 10th.
In the 11th starting spot, it'll be the J&M Towing Company Machine. That, of course, is car number 43 for Matt Kimball out of Bennington, New Hampshire. Outside of that row, car number 84, the Catalano Motorsports car from Ontario, New York, the rookie, Tyler Catalano.
John Michael Chanette will start 13th in the 82 Services number 8. Tommy Catalano, the 54, will start 14th.
Moving now to the 8th row, 15th starting position, the winner of the first event held here, and that, of course, the Propane Plus, Lynn's Propane Trucks, number 3. Of course, from Rehoboth, Massachusetts, Jake Johnson, 16th starting position. Coming back to the tour, the Horton Avenue Material Gunsmoke Stables, number 82, Woody Pitcat.
Starting 17th, the Ebersol Excavating, number 5 for New Hampshire's Kyle Ebersol, alongside the veteran, 9-time series winner Tim Conley in the 18.
Let's take a look at the 10th row, 19th starting position, a young gun, 1812, Peyton Autobody, number 81, Nathan Wenzel, Granby, Mass. Then Melissa Fifield, starting back in the 20th position, the Farm Fueled Nutrition's car.
Field has gotten the 2-to-go signal. Let's quickly check in on pit road and Jesse Punch.
Guys, I talked to Austin Beers before the race, and he was incredibly confident, understandably so. He's had a strong day already, fastest in qualifying and fastest in practice. He tells me racing here at Monadnock this year is completely different with the repave that they did in the offseason. He said there's other guys in the field that have much more experience, more wins, but we all have the same size notebook about this new surface. So he feels the playing field has been pretty much leveled. And after finishing second here back in May, he's chasing win number 1 of the season tonight.
Thank you, Jesse. The field is in turn 3, ready to see the green flag of the Duel of the Dog 250 at Monadnock Speedway. Atop the flag stand from Whelen, Eve Appel will throw the green flag, and we are underway at Monadnock.
The green is out, and from the high banks of Monadnock, down the back straightaway to lead lap number 1, Craig Lutz, who was the quickest car in the first round of practice, will set the pace. Already a side-by-side battle, Joe, and that's for position number 3. Stephen Kopsick taps on the back bumper of the 60. Hirschman guards second. They're side-by-side for third.
Nearly sub 12-second laps here at Monadnock Speedway. Very, very tight quarter-mile bull ring, and they are certainly going to use every bit of this banking as the race goes on. New asphalt that was laid down here before the season began. Only the second Whelen Modified Tour race on it, Ben. The drivers said that as the race went on, there'll be a lot of grip, and they felt that this racetrack was a lot faster here today in July than it was in May.
You know, you looked at the modifieds that run here at this racetrack. Their times have dipped into the low 12s. These cars were running in the 11s. Let's go back to the front pack of cars, and it appears that car number 16, all of a sudden Ronnie Silk got a little bit loose on the last circuit by. He runs in the back bumper of Catalano. But back up front, Lust is still the leader, 6 laps and counting.
It's not surprising to see these cars run the extreme inside lane early in the run, but as the race goes on, you can see how the racetrack and the rubber is a little bit wider. Expect that outside lane to come the deeper we get into this run. Here's Ron Silk working the inside of Trevor Catalano. This is a battle for position on the racetrack as they work in through turns 1 and 2 for 7th and 8th. Silk to the bottom in the 16.
Silk does a good job guarding the inside lane. Catalano has to back out of it just a moment. He pulls in the tire tracks of Silk. That's the 16 car. Meanwhile, side-by-side bid. Behind him, Brian Roby, one of the hometown boys. He's already had success here at the High Bank, but not on the Whelen Modified Tour. Coming to the front, car 22, also a huge factor, is Kyle Bonsignor, now at the bottom of the top 10.
Kyle Bonsignor had a very strong run going here in May, but they had motor problems midway through. They really didn't have an opportunity to get the finish that they had hoped for. He's looking good here in the early stages. Matt Kimball is another one of the favorite local drivers. When we watched him in qualifying earlier today, Ben, his car looked like it was going to be very smooth, very stable over the long run. We'll see how he does when we get deeper into this run.
Well, he knows this track. He started racing in the Young Guns division, worked up through the mini stock division, and he's had success wherever he's went. His father is a former New Hampshire state champion as well. This is the kid next door. He is a lumberjack by trade, and he is a hard worker. This is his dream, to win in front of the home crowd here at Monadnock.
And not a regular on the Whelen Modified Tour, but I don't think a good run from him would surprise many people here at this racetrack. So Matt Kimball, one of the drivers that's local to keep an eye on, is everybody works around the lap automobile of Melissa Fifield down to the inside. Now there's the 82 car of Woody Pitkat. Ben, we didn't think that we were ever going to see that car again in the Whelen Modified Tour, yet here it is.
Interestingly enough, this car was for sale. And, of course, the owner said didn't have a lot of bidders on it. The car was setting. It was literally catching moths and everything else that you'd put on an old race car that was setting behind the garage. They took it out, put it together, and Danny Watts has got a good race car. Doug Dunleavy and Gunsmoke Stables have been a part of that. Back up front, it appears the 4 car is off the pace for Tim Conley. That car drops to the inside. Conley has a problem and pulls to the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, it's tough to get off the racetrack here when you're stuck on the bottom. So Conley just brings that car to the inside. That'll be enough for the caution, the first caution of the day, and it comes out on lap number 19. Tim Conley's car was slow to the bottom. He could not get up to the high groove as the conveyor belt of cars were going. You see the left front tire there, Ben. It's laid over in the wrong direction there. It seems as though he might have some suspension problems there on the left front.
It certainly does. Then if you look to the right front, you'll saw some steam coming off that tire as well. We're not sure what the story is there. Tim Conley, an outstanding athlete in his own right, took a lot of time off from competing in racing, decided to come back, him and his wife. His wife bought him a race car, and he bought him a car that Bob Garbarino previously had owned. That was the start. Then he got the bug again, and now his race team are looking at the number 4 car. It appears, you can see it looks like some fluid perhaps beneath it. You can see a crew member taking the taste test and what that fluid might be from underneath the machine. So a heartbreaking situation. They have lost a couple of engines this season already, and this is not the way that they wanted to start things.
Well, I can tell you that is hot as the steam comes out from underneath it as they tested that fluid to see exactly what it was. So probably not suspension problems on the 4 car, but indeed something wrong mechanically for Tim Conley. So a tough break for him. Your point around the engine problems that they had earlier in the season. Now, pit road is open. They released the cars here along the start-finish line.
There's the first
Tyler
car to take a visit.
will be the first car to come down pit road. Now, remember, these are going to be non-competitive pit stops as the race goes on here, as the pit road has stalls on both the right and left. And then it loops around where Tyler is driving around the building in the back, and then comes back on through the other side of the Whelen Modified Tour garage where there's another row of pit stops. And you can see all the photographers and media members running over to catch those pit stalls. Jessie is on her way to see what's going on with the 84 car of Tyler Catalano.
Another car that looks to be moving around a bit is Melissa Fifield's machine. We're going to see if that car is going to be, I think, the recipient of the lucky dog. And now coming back out, the Catalano race car. They've made their adjustments and heading back over the hill.
And this is key, right? So Tyler Catalano comes back out onto the racetrack in time to stay on the lead lap as he rolls up onto the racetrack. So a little bit different here because of that pit stop. They release the cars at the start-finish line, and they rejoin on the back straightaway and then can come back around to the tail end of the field just by the way it's set up. And that was explained to the drivers in the drivers' meeting earlier today.
Interestingly enough, when they explained it to the drivers literally grasped it first time around. There was no big talk of what was wrong with the situation or how it would work to the advantage. And in this case, it's pretty much working to the advantage. 24-lap show up on the big board here. You're looking at the leader, Craig Lutz, car number 46. Lutz, who started in position number 1. First practice of the day, that was the quickest car right out of the box. When you talk to individuals watching the Whelen Modified Tour teams, they all said after the first practice, that could be the car to beat. Time will tell in that situation.
Craig Lutz and his team on a little bit of a slide lately over the past couple of races after a strong start. And now with them starting up on the front row, trying to take advantage of that redraw position to put that 46 up front. We're set for the first restart of the evening. Craig Lutz in the 46 to the inside. Matt Hirschman in the red and yellow number 60 up top. Green flag from Sean Houlihan atop the flag stand, and Craig Lutz quickly clears Matt Hirschman in turn 1 and 2. Everybody else stacked up 2 by 2 in the turn street as they head into turn 3.
No question about it. Stephen Kopsik tries to guard that third position. While he is guarding the third spot, all of a sudden, Patrick Emmerling, the Fleet Service Machine, car number 1, the upstate New York driver. Oh, Woody Pitcat does the slide for life up the hill with car number 82. Somehow he gathered it back up front. Bid for the third position, Joe. Emmerling is hung out to dry. Kopsik takes over the spot, but it's short-lived.
Stephen Kopsik, just his second Whelen Modified Tour start, but no stranger to Tour Type Modifieds. He's well known as a crew chief, a winning crew chief in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Muscles his way underneath Patrick Emmerling, the third. But it is Kyle Bonsignor who has gone around off turn number 4 to bring us under our second caution here on lap 30.
So the number 22 goes around, gets it fired back up. Caution comes out. 31 now clicks off on the board, and we'll see who's going to take advantage of this. Car number 22, of course, that car.
It's been a tough night for them. They were one of the teams that was based out of North Carolina. That's where Kyle Bonsignor lives now. But they got stuck in part of the airline delays. He did not get to New Hampshire until 3:30 in the morning. They got to the hotel at 4:30, took a quick snooze before coming over to the racetrack here today. We'll take another look at what happened. He was inside the top 10 as he goes around off turn 4.
Yep, back end snapped around. We're not sure from that angle if there was any contact at all, but car number 22, Cam McDermott, prepares that car. Also prepares the number 8 car for Woody Pitcat. Also prepares Doug Dunleavy's car, and his dad is instrumental in helping with that operation, all of those operations as well. So it's a real family deal, and this guy's got a ton of talent. It's just a matter of time before he is one of the breakthrough players in the Whelen Modified Tour.
They had a lot of momentum coming in second at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Very optimistic and positive about their car. But remember, this is a race that I think is going to have a lot of different strategy play, and I don't think that just by coming down pit road now that they can count their day over yet. There's still plenty of opportunity for this team to recover here early on in the race.
Correct. 2 cars in. Catalano is 1. And then, of course, the other car in is Kyle Bonsignor. You can see them jacking up the Bonsignor machine.
So this would be one of the first cars to take tires outside of Tyler Catalano, who had his car up on jacks earlier in the day today.
And interestingly enough, we talked about the choice in what part of the race car, whether it would be right side, whether it would be fronts, whether it be rears, whether it be left sides. And we just saw a sneak peek of their strategy. But was that strategy due to the fact that they were a car that brought out the caution?
Well, why would they be changing a left rear tire? You would think that typically you'd lean on that right rear tire. Well, here's why. The right side tires here this weekend are much more hard compound. The left side tires are softer, so when they came off in practice, it was the left sides that were showing more wear. Now, that's not normally what you would think.
It's very, very rare.
It's based on the tire compound. I would expect the cars that come down pit road more often than not, the first tire they're going to take is actually going to be a left rear tire.
I agree with you. Talking with everybody as we've had the opportunity to do, that was the story. Let's go down to Jesse. Jesse.
22 of Kyle Bonsignor involved in that last incident there. Doesn't look like a lot of damage to that race car. Team brought him down pit road and changed that left rear tire. Kyle coming off a career best finish last race at Loudon, battling his cousin for the win there, finished second to Justin. He's hoping to have another strong run tonight to continue the momentum.
So he will rejoin the race, and he is shown well deep into the field here at this point for Kyle Bonsignor in that 22. He's got some work to do. We'll re-rack him at the front of the field. 36 laps of the 250 in the record book. Craig Lutz on the bottom. Matt Hirschman is there. Steven Kopchik, Patrick Emmerling, Justin Bonsignor, Ron Silk. Your top six as they roll through turns 3 and 4 and come up to speed. Green lights go on, and the green flag waves as they come through, and it's Craig Lutz. Very good and very efficient on those starts. He clears Hirschman by 2 car lengths.
He certainly does. The story now becomes a story for second. Hirschman working that upper groove. Nobody's really been able to stick out there so far, but we are only 38 laps into this event. Side-by-side bid for position number 2. Steven Kopchik takes it in deep, off the turn. Matt Hirschman trying to dig on the outside. Another big mover is Ronnie Silk. Car number 16. You see it to the left of your screen, working its way around to the outside of Patrick Emmerling.
We knew the outside lane was going to start to come in, and little by little you see Hirschman get the better of Steven Kopchik on the outside. Same for Ron Silk as he gets by Patrick Emmerling around the outside. So that outside line is going to be something that once a couple of drivers and spotters see that, they'll tell them, hey, you see that outside, it's starting to come in.
And I think Ronnie Silk is one of those drivers that has got that message. He's all of a sudden glued to the back bumper of Steven Kopchik. Battle you're looking at is a battle between the 21 and the 16 car. Meanwhile, further back, the youngster from right down the street here, Matt Kimball, car number 43, is up to the top 10. Kimball works his magic there. Another young talent, Austin Beers, directly in front of him.
Now, Austin Beers has not really made that much progress after having to go back, winning the pole, and then falling back. Here's a great battle here. Kyle Ebersol in the 5. The 25 is Brian Roby, who was very quick in practice earlier in the day today. We'll see if that practice speed will transition over to their late race speed. Now, this is a team that doesn't typically do races with pit stops. This way with a non-competitive pit stop could kind of work to their advantage where they can keep pace if they decide to come down pit road.
Absolutely, but this competitor has so much experience at this racetrack. He can put some of that experience to the test. He actually won the first modified event held here with this Monadnock Speedway modified division at the start of this season. Good battle right there. Meanwhile, you're looking back up front, and it appears that Lutz continues to pull away from the competition. Kopchik tries to hold off the upper groove. Here comes Ronnie Silk. Silk saw the door open, closed it. Emmerling is there with him, and here comes Justin Bonsignor.
Silk now will look underneath Steven Kopchik in a battle for the 3rd spot. He'll make quick work of him as they come across the line. Now Patrick Emmerling trying to go underneath. Tight quarters there in turns 1 and 2 as Emmerling nearly coming together with Kopchik.
They almost touch, and of course, off the turn, Emmerling in a side-by-side field. You just looked at why they call them rub rails, because those two cars came together like two cymbals in an orchestra.
They have to work around the lap machine of Melissa Fifield. That made these cars go single file to the outside lane. You know, Steven Kopchik is a driver who is known to be aggressive. He's not going to hold anything back, and you saw that contact between he and Patrick Emmerling. That's his style. He goes after it, and that's what he's known for.
Certainly is. Meanwhile, another side-by-side battle a little further back. All of a sudden, well, it is Melissa Fifield down mowing the grass on the bottom of the racetrack. Her car apparently has got a problem. It fires up just as the caution flag comes out. Caution number 3 comes out. It is for Melissa Fifield. Something happened there. She dropped to the inside of the racetrack, and that would bring out the caution. So we'll see who will take advantage of our visit back to the paddock area here if we have any takers in this one.
Still seems a little early for the drivers that are up front, and I think part of that has to do with the fact that we've had these shorter green flag runs here to get us started here tonight in the Duel at the Dog 250. You know, the car up front, though, has been super, super impressive. You know, we have seen the success that Craig Lutz has had on the big tracks like Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park. He's had pretty decent runs at New Hampshire Motor Speedway as well. He's always been that style of driver. However, when you look at his success this season, the highlights have been the short tracks.
They certainly have.
So it's been completely different than what we have seen in the past out of Craig Lutz, and he's proving that again here tonight. Again, 22nd at New Hampshire, 19th at Seekonk. He is looking to turn his season around.
He certainly is. Now we're looking at the 64 machine. Sly Zabin prepared car with Ronnie Uhouse. It looks like Austin Beers is heading. Yes, he heads back to the pit road in the paddock area. Behind that car is the number 8 machine, John Michael Chenette, a youngster who worked in the concession area at Thompson Speedway as a kid, come from Woodstock Valley, a small farming community. They call it the quiet corner of the state of Connecticut as well. Jesse's down there on road and checking in with the 64.
64 of Austin Beers down here on pit road. That team getting under the hood. They're going to pay some attention to this race car. I mentioned earlier Austin was incredibly fast in practice and qualifying, but he's been running anywhere between 5th and 10th here, so definitely not the kind of run they wanted to have. We're going to have to see if these improvements will help this race car at all.
That's an interesting strategy call for Sly Zabin and that entire team to come down and make some adjustments here on the 64 of Austin Beers. He's going to give up a tremendous amount of track position to go from where he was running to the tail end of the field. And we have seen the risk that puts you in. All of a sudden, you're back there running in side-by-side action, have to fight and claw your way forward. The reward, though, is it going to pay off at the end of the race?
Interestingly enough, when we talked to Ronnie Uhouse, he said earlier today, Austin Beers likes to back up at the beginning of the race and then work his way back forward. He can set into a rhythm. Maybe that might be a part of the strategy. But remember, Joe, 250 circuits. The Duel at the Dogs, longer distance. So the strategy for a 150 or even a 100 all goes out the window when you're looking at an event of this type.
And what's interesting is Austin Beers said earlier today, now he's got 2 consecutive runner-up finishes here at this racetrack. He said, you know what, one of my problems of why I didn't win that race is because I was just too far back in the field.
Yes.
So for them to come down pit road now is almost counter to what their strategy was coming in, because of the fact that of the results that they had the last couple of races. They just didn't get there in time. So we'll see whether or not those adjustments are enough to make that car fast enough to drive forward.
Certainly has. And of course, Austin has a schedule. It is literally like the list for Christmas for a little youngster. It's got everything and anything on it. He's been competing on a regular basis at Stafford in the SK Modified division, driving for the Bowles family. And he said that's helping him adjust his driving styles and skill here as well.
Now, we just got an update from NASCAR officials that Austin Beers, when he was down on pit lane, has lost a lap. So Austin Beers now being shown in the 19th position, and he has 1 lap behind the race leaders.
And let's explain how that situation takes place. The reason for that is quite simple. He went to the pit area. He's supposed to make it back out, correct, Joe? And he did not. He missed it. And therefore, that puts him down 1 lap.
And so that's one of the things that will certainly hurt them. It's one thing to come down pit road and give up some track position. It's a whole other thing to have a long pit stop and all of a sudden go down 1 lap. So Austin Beers now, we have seen a fair amount of cautions. Austin Beers right now is being shown the first car 1 lap down. The only other car out on track, Melissa Fifield, and she is right behind him. So Austin Beers, assuming the race leaders don't put anybody else down a lap, Austin Beers, if we get another caution, will be the first car lap down. Now, so far we've seen runs they have been short. 19-lap run, an 11-lap run, and a 24-lap run. So it's possible that Austin Beers could be that first car a lap down.
Certainly is. And, of course, we've only got one car that is off the racetrack from the original starting lineup of 21. Tim Conley, mechanical problems, took him out. Off turn number 4, all eyes are on the start. Green flag comes back out, and it is Craig Lutz again. Inside, but look at Hirschman. Digging hard. And Joe, I think you're right. The outside is starting to come in, and we're seeing a sneak preview of that. But look at Ronnie Silk on the inside, car number 16 in row number 2.
I also think that Craig Lutz, his car is starting to go away a little bit. When he stepped on the gas in that restart, not as good as it was the time before, but Matt Hirschman was able to hang with him. Hirschman now settles back into second, single file the top 3. Ron Silk sits third. Emerling on a shape off turn number 2.
And to the outside of Emberling, here comes Justin Bonsignor. He is also a factor in the side-by-side battle with Steven Kopsik. Back up front. Here they are, side-by-side, bid for the 5th position. Look at Bonsignor. Couldn't complete the mission there. As Kopsik moved to the inside, and now young Matt Kimball is giving the 5-time plus winner a big run for the money.
Keep your eye on Matt Kimball. I don't think this is going to be the last that we're going to see of him tonight. We talked about how stable that car was earlier in the day today. We're now 3 runs in of about 20 laps each. 70 laps in this race with 20 lap seconds. And Matt Kimball has been good. Meanwhile, the car in front of him, 5-time winner at this racetrack, Justin Bonsignor, his car is all kinds of unhappy. He is sideways up off the corner. Really see him driving that number 51. That car is not handling as well as Justin Bonsignor prefers.
It is not. He's trying to sink it in deep. Now this time he moves down to the inside of the 21 car. Back up to second. It is the 16 that quickly moves in. Ronnie Silk, who's never tasted the sweets of victory in the modified tour race here at the High Banks, is looking to make it his first. While the side-by-side bid continues, Matt Kimball is also making his presence known. Kimball is battling for the 6th spot on the inside of the car number 21 of Steven Kopsik.
Boy, Steven Kopsik was inside the top 3 not long ago. That handling on that 21 car has completely gone away as he has dropped backwards now, back in the 7th position, and continues to drop. Up front, though, Craig Lutz continues to lead the way. He goes around Melissa Fifield, but he looks in the rearview mirror now to battle for the lead. Ron Silk is there, and he's starting to put the pressure on the race leader, Craig Lutz.
No question about it. Silk is moving in. The margin between first and second is starting to dwindle. It is less than .394. Silk is coming. Meanwhile, Kimball works his magic. He stays glued to the back bumper of Justin Bonsignor. Keep your eyes on the 51 and the 43 car. Those 2 cars have now worked their way into 5th and 6th spot, and they're not done yet.
And Kimball is one of the only cars that can run very, very low. Look how much lower he's running than Justin Bonsignor. As all the other cars, the handling starts to go away. They move up the racetrack. Kimball, though, has a car that turns perfectly through the center, especially in turns 1 and 2.
It certainly does. Now, when they repaved the racetrack, they took some of the old rumble sticks out of the bottom of the racetrack. When they did that, that added some extra distance to run in the very bottom. But few, with the exception of Matt Kimball, have found the magic there.
Kimball continuing to try to set Justin Bonsignor up for this pass. The question is, as we get nearer and closer to the midway point of this race, is he using up too much of his tires trying to get around Justin Bonsignor for the 5th position here, just 83 laps into this race?
He's really working that car hard. You can see tremendous, as you say. He's got great bite when he comes off, but Bonsignor continues to guard the spot lap after lap. Lutz is still the leader, but as we go back up front, Silk is right there. Lutz's car is starting to go away, Joe. You call that correct. We're looking back a little further. Watch Ronnie Silk. Watch the Lutz machine. Came off the turn the last time. Loosens up just a bit. And Ronnie Silk is not there yet, but he is in striking distance. Coming up on lap traffic Melissa Fifield as he works their magic to the outside. Lutz goes around the lapped automobile. Ronnie Silk loses a little bit of forward bite and momentum there.
Ron Silk this year has been very good on the long runs, and it's not surprising to see as this run gets deeper in that Silk creates a lot of speed. And you see two good battles right behind them, one for third and fourth, one here for fifth and sixth, and of course this one for the race lead. Craig Lutz out in front with Ron Silk continuing to see if he can find the lane underneath or around Craig Lutz.
He made a bid for it, tries the inside lane. Ronnie Silk, door shut, no room at the end this time. Back up front, Lutz is doing everything. This is where the spotters become key. On a tight bull ring racetrack like this, the spotter is the best friend of any competitor in the field.
So Ron Silk starting to lose some ground here a little bit. You go back a little bit further in the battle for the third spot. It's heating up because Patrick Emmerling just got around the 60 car of Matt Hirschman to move into third.
Patrick Emmerling started out the season with those consistent runs in the first three races. Then all of a sudden there were some changes in the operation. Those changes seem to be working because car number one is a factor. Emmerling is up to the third position, bumping Hirschman back to 4. Justin Bonsignore is in 5, and Matt Kimball sets in position number 6. Then we've got a gap, and behind that gap is Stephen Kopsick, Trevor Catalano, and Tommy Catalano.
On the racetrack, we talked about Austin Beers coming down and making that adjustment. That car is still pretty quick, and he's got about a straightaway ahead of the cars that are the race lead. Now, this is a battle that we watch for fifth. Justin Bonsignore, the 51 car, 43 car. Matthew Kimball has settled down for a moment. Stephen Kopsick behind them, who rides in 7th. The bleeding has stopped for that team for a little bit. He has settled in. He's got good pace now, and he's actually starting to close in on these two.
Yes, he actually is doing a great job setting right there. That is working to the advantage of the car directly behind him, which is Stephen Kopsick. They go to the outside, lapped automobile. It is the number 8 car of Jeanette. But it's still continuing to be a dogfight battle for the 5th position. Bonsignore, that time Kimball got a little bit loose and out of shape. Back up front, bid for the lead. Here comes Ronnie Silk, tries the crossover. Lutz banzais to the inside. Wheel to wheel. This is what the Whelen Modified Tour is all about.
So 101 laps in, Ron Silk takes over the race lead here in the Duel the Dog 250, about 25 laps shy of halfway. And look at Ron Silk has opened up the advantage already now that he's gotten ahead of Craig Lutz.
He certainly has. Once in command, second leader. Took 100 laps to get there, but Ron Silk is the leader of the pack, and he continues. Silk started in the 10th position. So long way to go to get to the front. But so far, he is the driving force up front, coming up on heavy lap traffic. Let's check a little further back in that field again and see what the battle is between, now it appears to be the 60 of Matt Hirschman, Justin Bonsignore, and Matt Kimball. Those 3 cars, Joe. The 60, 51, and the number 43.
I think one of the fastest cars on the racetrack by the stopwatch is just ahead of them, though. Patrick Emmerling about a 10th of a second faster than the race leader, riding in 3rd. He's got some distance to go, though. He's directly in front of this battle here with Hirschman, Justin Bonsignore, and Matt Kimball. And this is quieted down for a moment. Not too long ago they were side by side, but what's interesting to watch now is how Matt Hirschman in his car is backing up. Normally, at this point in the race, you'd see Hirschman pick him off one at a time, just like he did at Seacon when he got the win. He had that speed as the run went on, but today it seems like it's the exact opposite.
It does seem the opposite. Car's starting to loosen up just a bit as well. Kimball continues to try to run in the tire tracks of Justin Bonsignore. You can't rattle a champion, and to rattle one that's got 5 wins on this racetrack is an amazing accomplishment all by itself. But Matt Kimball continues to apply the pressure, and it seems to be about the same margin between him and Kimball on every circuit as Bonsignore continues strong in that battle there.
Well, I think Kimball has dialed it back a little bit here. And the reason for that is we know that if there's not a caution now for this run, we're on this run between lap 90 and lap 140. If there is not a natural caution, the caution flag is going to fly at lap 140 for the competition caution. I think Matt Kimball knows that. There is no sense in using up his equipment. You can see he's not as aggressive in pushing to go get Justin Bonsignore. He's letting the race come to him, and that is part of his strategy.
It is part of the strategy. Remember, this works to the advantage of Kimball, this type of pitting at pit stops, because he doesn't have that team of tire changers, that team of individuals that could do it quick. Quickness doesn't necessarily totally count. It is truly a factor here. 150 laps up on the board. Ron Silk continues to set the pace out in front. Meanwhile, working back in the 18th position is Austin Beers. Remember, the story is there. A lap down, he's trying to make up some valuable time. And of course, a caution could change the entire complexion for him. Hirschman comes up on lap traffic now.
The tough thing for the 64 of Austin Beers is that the race leader, Ron Silk, has caught the tail end of the field, and he will start putting other cars a lap down that are ahead of Austin Beers. And in 21 laps, when this caution flag comes out, Austin Beers could be trapped a lap down as a result.
Yes, absolutely. And that is certainly not the strategy that they had planned at the start of this event. Lap traffic coming up on the Wenzel machine, the 1812 paint and auto body car, to the inside. Wenzel already won in the modified division here at Monadnock.
We watched this battle here a little bit deeper in the field with Matt Hirschman. Steven Kopchik in the middle of this. The race leader has gone by last May's winner, Jake Johnson, and has passed him on the back straightaway.
Here we're taking a look at Austin Beers now. Meanwhile, here comes the 51. Five-time winner here at the High Banks. Justin Bonsignore moves in, picks up the spot. Who is the tail that wags the dog there? It is Matt Kimball. Kimball now gets a wheel down under Joe. He has now turned up the heat there, and he is running with Bonsignore as Hirschman is backing up.
So we get the halfway point, 125 in the Duel Dog 250. Justin Bonsignore now up to fourth. Matt Kimball now up to fifth as Hirschman now outside the top five for the first time here today as Ron Silk continues to race his way forward and put cars a lap down. Now, as the pit stop strategy comes in, that's a little bit of risk mitigation for Ron Silk. The fewer cars that are on the lead lap, the fewer positions he could lose if he decides to come down pit road. And if he's not too careful, he's going to catch the tail end of the field again. And that's Kyle Ebersol who's there, and also Austin Beers, who at this point could end up going 2 laps down if Ron Silk can catch the tail end of this field. He's about a half a straightaway behind him.
And those cars were running in the 13th, 14th, and 15th position. Catalanos, one of the Tyler Catalano, located in that spot. Things are starting to settle in just a bit. Meanwhile, we're looking at the one car as all of a sudden car number 1, Patrick Emmerling. Oh, trouble.
Front straightaway, Steven Kopchik, Trevor Catalano. Another car slides in. Kyle Ebersol goes spinning down to the bottom of the racetrack as well. The 25 of Brian Roby in it. And that will be the caution at 131 here that we were trying to keep an eye on. It came a little bit early as 4 cars involved here on the front stretch.
You're looking at the 25. Roby was able to pull away. Steven Kopchik, I hope we get a replay of that. He did an amazing move. He literally went 360, kept his foot on the gas, and continued in forward motion. Here's a look at it. Keep your eyes. There's the 21. Back end of the car snaps around, 360 degrees, drives away in the right direction.
Difficult to tell from that angle as to whether or not there was contact or if 21 just went around on his own accord, but it did bring us under the caution period Now, this is that caution that'll happen between lap 90 and lap 140, and this is the opportunity where NASCAR is going to slow the pace car down a bit and allow these teams to come down pit road if they choose to and get that tire, so they'll have a little bit more time and more cars likely on pit lane.
Now remember, we are on lap number 133 and counting. And again, as Joe pointed out, they've slowed the pace down. And we're going to see who's going to take advantage of the situation, as it looks like things are single file formation as the timing and scoring. They've got a tough job, and of course they're doing that job exceptionally well here as they come off turn number 4.
And keep in mind, with timing and scoring, when that light turns green at the end of the front straightaway in turn 1, then pit road will be open. They're taking an extra moment here, though, because they want to make sure that the lineup is correct. It's a non-competitive, a cold pit road. So when you come in pit road, you will come out in the same position as you entered, but that doesn't mean you have to pit. So I'm curious, will somebody stay out? Will somebody roll the dice? A Kyle Bonsignor, who came in earlier, will he stay out onto the racetrack because he already got his tire earlier and gain all that track position?
So true. That could be the case. We know one thing for sure, that Austin Beers cannot do that strategy at all whatsoever. Beers is now still being shown back in the 18th position. This is, of course, all unofficial. To give you a quick rundown, Ronnie Silk, of course, the second leader of the event. Craig Lutz, the 46, is second, the early leader. Patrick Emmerling has been consistent and strong in third with the 1. Justin Bonsignor moved into fourth with the 51. And Matt Kimball, the youngster from New Hampshire that grew up here watching his dad at the High Banks, is your 5th place runner. Hirschman drops back to 6th. Kyle Bonsignor is back up to 7th. That's the car that Joe was talking about. Tommy Catalano is 8th. Stephen Kopczyk was shown in 9th. And Trevor Catalano would round out the top 10.
Now, I think Jake Johnson is going to be the driver that's going to get the free pass to be able to come back on the lead lap, as he is the first car a lap down. Unofficially, as I look at it on scoring and as I look at it out on the racetrack, we'll get the official confirmation. Now, here's a guy who came out here and won the last time we were here. How different the racetrack is now. This is a race that is run at night. When we ran then, it was run 5 o'clock in the afternoon under sunny skies. Very different conditions, and the track has weathered over 2 months. That 3 car not as strong as they were here in the spring.
It certainly is the case, and you can see, you're looking at the 3 car. One of the Catalano machines behind him, and the field in single file formation. We are still counting laps, but let's see what's going to be happening here.
And to get back to what we were talking about with Austin Beers, he's going to be trapped a lap down here, depending on what happens here on this round of pit stops. He can't get one back necessarily when everybody comes down pit road, but he's going to be trapped, is the 64 car of Austin Beers.
You have to wonder what happened, because he came in under caution and he lost that lap. Here they go.
So pit road is open. Lead lap cars making their way down pit road, and I don't see really anybody who's going to stay out onto the racetrack. And it gets quiet here as everybody exits the park. The pace vehicle eking around the racetrack, giving these teams time to safely change tires. And again, the cold pit road, the non-competitive pit stops are happening because of safety. And this is why this is going. Let's go down to the Ron Silk pit with Jesse Punch.
Guys, this is the pit stop this field has been looking for. There you see the 16 of Ron Silk, our leader, currently bringing it in, going to change tires here. This race back in the fall, 100 laps shorter than today's. This stop wasn't a factor, but in talking to the drivers earlier today, this is the game changer. This is the difference maker. How they perform after this stop is going to make or break it. The discussion on tires is that this compound is a little stronger, takes a little bit longer to wear in, meaning they can push the limits a little more. Almost looking at this race as 2 mini races. So as you saw the leader, Ron Silk, changing tires and getting back out there, all these guys are going to push the limits here in the latter half of this race.
So left side tire, left rear for Ron Silk as he makes his way back out onto the racetrack. Everybody else exiting pit lane. Now they do have to stay on the lead lap. They do have to beat that pace vehicle back to the scoreboard over in turn 4, just about, off the end of the back straightaway. And if they can do that, they will remain on the lead lap. And NASCAR giving time for everybody to safely make their tire change.
Certainly has. And you know, we were talking about it early at the start of this event. The left side tires are softer than the right side tires. And therefore, left side is the tire of concern for some of the teams. And they have been adjusting and planning their strategy. And we saw a perfect example of that. The Silk team, Phil Moran, changing the left rear tire. And Jesse Punch is down there where there's a lot of left rear tire changing going on.
Well, I will tell you this. There's one easy way to dial yourself out of a Whelen Modified Tour race, and that's to change only one tire at the back of the race car.
Yes.
Typically, you change two because the difference in size between those two tires,
everything.
It's like a styrofoam cup. You roll it across the table, it spins one direction, and that's how these modifieds turn. So when you put a tire on, you could have a car like Ron Silk, who's really, really good, and then all of a sudden you get a tire that doesn't size and doesn't grow the way you think it's going to grow, and that good race car turns into an anchor going backwards.
It sure does. It turns in and becomes suddenly evil, and that's exactly what we might see be the case. Interestingly enough, the 3-car did stay out, Joe, and of course that's the gentleman that won the Granite State Derby event here. That was back on May 4th here at the High Banks. And you're looking at it, the Propane Plus machine. Directly running behind that is one of the Catalano cars. And under this, before we do the readjusting of the lineup, and also is the number 64 car.
Those are the cars that are on the tail end of the lead lap. Jake Johnson will have the free pass. Tyler Catalano, Austin Beers at the tail end of the lead lap as we work the caution here. 142 laps in the record book, still over 100 laps to go in the Duel at the Dog 250. Remember, this is the second of 3 events in the Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup put together by Josh Veneta, JDV Productions. $20,000 of purse money on the line to go after as part of this 3-race series. Now, Brian Roby in the 25 car, who was pretty strong earlier in the day today, has got his car stopped in turn number 2 as the field goes by, and that is because he lost a lap on pit road. Brian Roby will go a lap down.
And remember, he was one of the cars that was involved that brought out this caution. He kept going in forward motion, but it is going to cost him a great deal of time. Roby, as we said before, won the first modified race held here with the new asphalt at this racetrack, and is a very, very talented driver in the Maurice Enterprises car.
We've seen 4 cautions on the night. First was for Tim Conley, who had mechanical problems. We saw Kyle Bonsignor spin for our second caution, and we saw problems under the third caution. Melissa Fifield, who was slow off turn 2. The most recent caution out for a 4-car incident between Stephen Kopchik, Trevor Catalano, Kyle Ebersol, and Brian Roby along the front straightaway. Now,
well, you just saw they released the 3 cars. It'll head back around and pick up at the rear of the field. Catalano decides to let the 64 of Austin Beers there. You're looking at the front row, those of you watching on Flow. It is Silk and Lutz the same way they were running, and we are now back up to speed.
Matt Kimball did not go on that start and stacked the field up behind him, but everybody's able to get through turns 1 and 2 pretty clean for the most part. Ron Silk leads away. Emmerling slides into second, and here comes big money. Matt Hirschman in the yellow, in red, number 60, looking to the inside in a battle for third.
Lutz all of a sudden on the outside, digs in, but digs in hard. But it's Hirschman, yellow and red number 60 car, in to take over position number 3. Behind him, Justin Bonsignor has to back out of it. Now Bonsignor changes his line. Car number 51 will go to the outside. Can't do it. Kimball is there in position number 6.
Seems like Craig Lutz, he tries to make the outside lane work with that 46, but his car likes the bottom, and when they challenge to the top side of the racetrack, Lutz had a hard time that last time through. Up front, though, Patrick Emmerling, we saw how quick he was before that caution. He's going for the race lead. Emmerling to the bottom. Side by side off turn number 4 as Silk tries to hold on to the top side.
No question about it. Patrick Emmerling had a fast car in practice. Qualified well. He moves into the lead. Here comes Big Money Matt. Ka-ching, ka-ching. Hirschman moves into second. That bumps Silk, the second leader of the event, back to the third position. Then let's go a little further back. Side-by-side battle for position number 5.
And that's Matt Kimball, who goes underneath a struggling now Craig Lutz, who's back in the mix. Right behind him, the 22 car of Kyle Bonsignor, his car on the charge. Remember, he was part of that second caution on lap 30 when he spun by himself.
Kyle Bonsignor, strategy of changing a tire early might work to his advantage. Back up front. All of a sudden, Silk is back in command of second position. Ron Silk puts the 16 into second, and then Matt Hirschman drops back to 3. Here comes Bonsignor.
How about Patrick Emmerling, though? 1/10 of a second faster than everybody else. They have gone to the afterburner. The lap time's much faster now after the tire change. The intensity is starting to pick up as Emmerling works around the lap traffic. Now, he's had good runs this year, but he has had little things happen. Some of his own doing, some not. But it has not given them the results they wanted. He's won 4 times on the Whelen Modified Tour. But Rick Gautreau, who owns this car, lives in California, loves modified racing, and he wanted Patrick Emmerling behind the wheel, and he's done a great job. Could tonight be the night that they can hold off Ron Silk, Matt Hirschman, and get that victory here in 2024?
You know, we talked about earlier how Patrick Emmerling is a guy who's won on the big tracks. He's won on Bristol. He wins on the half-mile tracks. He will tell you that this tight quarter mile like this one is tough for him. But today it doesn't look tough. But all of a sudden, it appears that Ron Silk has got that rhythm going. And he continues to reel in on the back bumper of Patrick Emmerling.
Bonsignor trying to put some heat on Matt Hirschman. Hirschman fired off quickly once we went back under the green flag. I don't know if he was just trying to get track position, go after the race early, but he has now fallen back a little bit. He's back in third, and he's not been able to keep pace with the top 2.
Just that seemed to be the same story earlier in the long run in this event. Then let's go back to Kyle Bonsignor with the number 22 car. That car is running in the 5th position. Matt Kimball is there.
Here's Ron Silk. He set up Patrick Emmerling nicely to challenge for the race lead. He goes underneath. They come together through turn 2. Silk to the bottom. Emmerling up top, battling for the race lead at Monadnock.
Ron Silk back in by inches, but Emmerling doesn't give up. They come off the turn. Emmerling back in front. Here comes Silk, side by side. They cross the stripe. Patrick Emmerling, still the leader of the pack, but Silk is giving him a workout.
Patrick Emmerling is hungry. It's been a while since he's won on the Whelen Modified Tour. There's a long way to go, but it was 3 years at Riverhead in 2021 when Emmerling won. You could see how aggressive he is because he knows this battle, although a long way to go, this could be the battle for the win tonight.
Coming back up through to heavy traffic, working their magic. And now all of a sudden, the intensity is starting to develop again between Matt Hirschman, your 3rd place car, and the 51 of Bonsignor.
They get around Nate Wenzel. Emmerling almost ran out of space on the back straightaway and got into the outside guardrail. It had to be by inches that he missed it. As he's now opened up a car length ahead, there's Matt Hirschman riding 3rd, and Justin Bonsignor, who has been quick but not the speed to go up there and contend among the top 3.
Certainly has not. He's been kind of riding it out back in that 4th position. And meanwhile, behind him, Kyle Bonsignor, he's having a problem working his way through traffic as well.
He's got lap traffic that Kyle Bonsignor works around, but he's moved into 5th, so a nice recovery for him after the pit stop. Meanwhile, sparks are flying through turns 3 and 4. Melissa Fifield was in the middle of a pack of cars. Everybody's able to continue on, and there's no harm, no foul, but Fifield continues to the inside lane, trying to get up into the groove of racetrack while everybody works around to the outside.
There's no question Matt Hirschman in that 3rd position is really starting to string it out. Look at the margin visually between 1st and 2nd now. Emmerling continues to be the big dog in this event as he sets the pace out front. Meanwhile, there is Bonsignor running in that 4th position, and he's Joe all by himself in fourth, and all of a sudden, Kyle Bonsignore, the 22, is reeling him in. Will we see a repeat of what we saw at New Hampshire? The big track here at the quarter mile.
Yeah, we very well could. Behind them, Matt Kimball. Great run tonight by Matt Kimball. I was curious to see how his car, how his team would respond coming out of that pit stop, and it hasn't impacted his car at all. He's been running right where he's been all day, right now in the 6th position. So a good, solid run for Matt Kimball and that team. And I know they've been working really hard at this Whelen Modified Tour game over the past couple of seasons. They haven't had the luck and the success they wanted. Tonight, a banner run for them in the 43.
You know, and everybody on that team, they're the working guys. We talked about it, that Matt Kimball, he's a lumberjack by trade. And in addition to that, we've got a caution.
It's the 5th of the day. It is the 4 car of Tim Conley, who came back out onto the racetrack, was running at speed, but stops at the inside of turn 1 exactly where he stopped earlier on lap number 19 for our first caution of the night for Tim Conley.
Tim Conley can't get a break if he tries tonight, and you can see some more of the smoke coming off car number 4. So that is the car that brings out the caution. 181 of 250 are all but gone in this event.
'25 car of Brian Roby will be the free pass, and we'll be able to get that lap back that he lost earlier in the event. So Patrick Emmerling out in front, leading the way with Ron Silk second. Before the race began, Patrick Emmerling told me, he said, I really like the way this racetrack feels. I feel like it has a lot of grip, and I like that. And when racetracks go a little bit deeper into the night, the temperature coming down, especially under the lights here in New England, you'll tend to see the grip level increases. And if he liked the feel of it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I can imagine here at this hour of the night how much he likes the grip, and you can see that in the speed of that number 1 car.
You certainly can. We should mention also that Austin Beers has moved just out of the top 10. He is in the 11th position. Jake Johnson has worked his way up to the 13th position. Tommy Catalano is in 12th. Brian Roby is 1 lap down. He would be the recipient of the lucky dog. In the 15th spot, Kyle Ebersol is behind them, and Nathan Wenzel, followed by Ken Heggie, Melissa Fifield. Jeanette is out of the event, and Tim Conley, you saw the situation there. So
it'll be curious to see when they get back out of the green flag here, how quickly the top 3 fire off, because under that last restart, they all just took off very, very quickly, and there was no wasting any time. Emmerling is going to restart on the bottom, Ben, and we have seen the strength. Not quite yet. Looked like they were lining up for the restart, but seems like they're going to go another lap here.
Yep.
As Emmerling contemplating whether or not he's going to come down pit road. I think that's what was going on there. They were pulling up to the outside to see if anybody was going to come down pit road and grab another tire here with still plenty of time to make use of it.
You know, as we said before, the pit strategy is all different for an event of this type, and we're looking at some adjustments being made there, and there you can see pit road situation. The light, the green light came on, and
the pit road's open.
And there they go.
I'll head back down to pit lane. Remember, non-competitive pit stops. You can change 1 tire. You can change any tire. You can go back to that left rear and get another one of them if you want. You can go to the right side tire. What's it going to be for some of these teams as they come down pit lane here and work their way into the paddock here at Monadnock? Around the building, back in the pit stall for the 16 car of Ron Silk, who's back on pit road, Jesse Punch.
Both leaders, Ron Silk and the number 1, Patrick Emmerling, coming down pit road, making 1 more pit stop for tire change. That 16 is going to replace that right rear tire and get back out on the track as we head into the latter half of this race.
Thank you, Jesse. They get off pit road. Again, they've got time. Now, the opportunity for Austin Beers to come down pit road and get the tire that he couldn't get earlier. They'll take the right rear here. Now, everybody else had already taken a left side tire. Austin Beers will take his right rear tire. He'll go back out into the racetrack. He was 11th.
Almost was a costly situation for him, but they were able to quickly make it back out with the number 64 car. So when they realign the field, Beers is going to go back to the 11th position in the adjustment, we believe, and that's what we're looking at through our timing and scoring here at this point.
And we're going to look at the strategy here, Ben, because there's 2 cars that did not come down pit road. A couple of cars in addition to that, but there's 2 that are interesting. They're at the front of the field. The 22 car of Kyle Bonsignore, he had already come in and gotten his service. He now has the track position at the front of the field. The other car that stayed out is now being shown in the 2nd spot is Woody Pitkat in the 82 car. Ironically enough, both of those cars are prepared by Cam McDermott. Cam McDermott is the crew chief of the 22 car, but he put the 82 car together along with the old Pastriac crew. There's guys from Teddy Hodgkin's Open Modified Tour crew, guys from the 88 car that Woody Pitkat drives in another series. But these 2 cars are really prepared out of the same shop, and now they're on the same strategy. They're 1st and 2nd in the race.
They certainly are. And, of course, Woody Pitkat is another individual that has been in search of a victory here at Monadnock on the Whelen Modified Tour, and he has never been able to do it. Back driving Buzz Chu's race car was as close as he ever came during that season in the competition. So he is hungry and long overdue as well. Remember, early in this race, we saw Woody's car drift way up the racetrack. He was, heading for the farm. And all of a sudden, he gathered it back and was able to maintain and to hold on.
I was going to say it's a good thing there is a farm up in turns 3 and 4, because if not, he would have been right into the outside concrete, because he was well outside of the bounds of this racetrack in that yellow line to the outside. Pitkat's won a full-body late model race here before.
Yes, he has.
No modified races, as you has alluded to. Steve Greer, Gunsmoke Stables, have been a big contributor. Danny Watts, this car needed a rear clip. Keith Rocco worked on the race car.
Checked it, made sure it's right.
That went to Cam McDermott's shot after that.
Doug
and then they put it
Dunleavy
together.
was going to put together an entire package for Woody Pitkat and run all of the Modified Tour events this season. Doug had other family commitments that changed all of that. So it is a group effort, and a lot of special people are behind Woody Pitkat, the talented driver. Told us a great story about when he won that late model race with the Monahan family that owned the late model. They brought 2 cars. Woody was given the backup car, did not have any time on the racetrack itself, and went on to win. And guess what? The guy who finished 2nd wasn't too happy, the owner of that car as well.
Well, you know what? He came here to win, and that's what he did. Woody Pitkat on the outside in that 82 car. And this is not the last we're going to see of him. He's going to be out here more in the Whelen Modified Tour schedule as the season goes on. The front row looks very different. Kyle Bonsignore to the bottom. Outside lane, Woody Pitkat, the former race leader. The 1 car will restart to the outside in the 4th position. But Kyle Bonsignore gets away with the race lead, but he's challenged to the outside by Pitkat, who's out in the fence one more time.
Pitkat, a little bit loose coming off the turn. Pitkat goes up that hill. His Achilles heel has been turn number 4. Back up front, moving forward. Here comes Ron Silk. Trevor Catalano setting in 2nd. That time, Kyle Bonsignore slipped up the racetrack a bit.
Emmerling out of shape. He lost ground off turn number 4. He's now in the bottom half of the top 10. How about Trevor Catalano? That was the 3rd car that stayed out on the racetrack, and he is going for the race lead. Trevor Catalano under green flag conditions in turn number 2 is a new leader at Monadnock.
But here comes Ron Silk, 16 car to the inside, makes his presence known. Ron Silk is hungry. He'll move into 2nd, short-lived. Kyle Bonsignore takes it back with car number 22.
Trevor Catalano out in front now. Silk with Justin Bonsignore right behind him. Craig Lutz is there as they try to hip check Kyle Bonsignore to the outside lane and get 2nd. Silk in through for 2nd. Bonsignore now battling for 3rd.
Bonsignore works magic down low directly behind him. Lutz is there. They tag bumpers. Everybody is okay. Tap to the back bumper. Bonsignore letting Silk know he's there. Kyle Bonsignore shuffle back. He's trying to get to the bottom, but can't do it. Now he finds an opening. Kyle Bonsignore now follows Justin into contention for the 3rd and 4th position.
So the 2 cousins run 3rd and 4th. Craig Lutz back to 5th, and Trevor Catalano in the final 50 laps of this one is just trying to run away and hide. He wants green the rest of the way. Now Ron Silk is mirror driving because he's got Justin Bonsignore right behind him, and there is no love lost. We have seen it over the past couple of seasons between the 16 and the 51. but Bonsignor is not quite close enough to rattle the cage of Ron Silk.
No, that is definitely the case. They continue to work their magic, but no one has become a threat. And Catalano out in front, and he's developing a commanding lead. The difference between first and second is .530. So he's really there. Close margin as things start to settle in just a bit.
I think the trick for Catalano, though, is going to be lap traffic. He's not been in this position before. He's not led a race in the late stages. How does he play that with two champions right behind him vying for victory?
Meanwhile, Patrick Emily has moved into the 7th spot. Tommy Catalano working his way up to the 8th position. Matt Hirschman is in 9th, and Matt Kimball struggling at the bottom of the top 10 now.
You see Matt Hirschman, Catalano, Tommy Catalano in the 54, the 43 of Matt Kimball. This last pit stop really hurt him as he is now going backwards from where he was just outside the top 5.
Jake Johnson coming to life. He's just out of the top 10 with car number 3. Where is Austin Beers? He is back in 13th position. He just can't seem to find the opening or the luck here today. Let's head back up front. The margin was impressive, but it is starting to go away between the leader, Trevor Catalano, and of course the 16 machine of Ronnie Silk.
There's great battles all over the racetrack. Matt Hirschman trying to hold off Woody Pitkat. There you see Trevor Catalano, and he's holding Ron Silk at bay. He lost that track position when he had to go around the lap car of Melissa Fifield. There's lap cars up ahead. I think that could be the Achilles heel for Trevor Catalano. Can the young driver, can he remain calm, cool, and collected and try to find a way to get that first Whelen Modified Tour victory? Young driver is Trevor Catalano, just 17 years old, leading the way here at Monadnock.
Keep your eyes. Let's shift back to the 3rd position. Justin Bonsignor. Kyle Bonsignor has been working him over, Joe. He's making a bid. Kyle Bonsignor dive bombs down into turn 3, off 4, car number 22. Kyle Bonsignor has worked his way into the 3rd position.
Yeah, I think Justin Bonsignor just about had enough of that, and he didn't want to give up the big game, the championship, and lose too much ground to Ron Silk, who drives directly ahead. Now up front, that lap traffic starting to become a factor. Here comes Trevor Catalano to the outside of Fifield. He gets by her. Silk is there. He'll have to go to the outside of Ken Hagee next, and that'll take Trevor Catalano out of his preferred lane, which is the bottom groove of the racetrack.
Sure does. Here comes Silk. He knows his Achilles heel. When it comes to Trevor, Trevor continues to do a good job. Next target becomes the Wenzel car. Silk looks to the bottom. Trevor Catalano tries to get it down low. They squeak by. Now they got some clear track for a while. Let's see if Silk has anything for the young and talented Trevor Catalano.
And Catalano quickly opening up 2 car lengths the advantage. And to your point, Ben, they've got at least a straightaway ahead. And the next car they will come across is going to be Tyler Catalano, his older brother. And so you'd have to think that he's not going to hold his younger brother up as he looks to get the Catalano family their first Whelen Modified Tour victory. They came close before. Tommy Catalano nearly won at Richmond, but it wasn't to be that day. Will Trevor be the guy inside of 30 laps to go? Here's Justin Bonsignor trying to hold off Patrick Emerling.
And that's a battle that's been going on for several laps. Patrick Emerling came out of the pits ablaze, and he looked like he was going to be a big factor. But then he's been forced to settle back in. Meanwhile, Trevor Catalano continues to hit his marks and maintain that impressive lead. You're looking further back. The 1 car in the 5th position, all over the back bumper of Justin Bonsignor, the 5-time champion in the Ryan Stone prepared car. Matt Hirschman, he's come back to life. And now there's a bid. Bonsignor's car slips up. Patrick Emerling puts the number 1 machine up a spot, and Patrick Emerling is now among the top 4.
Emerling grabs another spot. Can Matt Hirschman get some more as they go down into the turn? Up front, the battle for the lead intensifies. Here comes Silk. Down to the inside off turn number 4, looking for the race lead. Lap traffic up ahead. Here comes Trevor Catalano, though. Hammered down to the outside, and he holds on against the challenge of Ron Silk.
The lap car became the pick. That gave Trevor Catalano the option of taking back the lead. All of a sudden, Silk looks to get around the other Catalano machine. Dives to the bottom of the racetrack. Silk goes up around the second Catalano machine, and Ron Silk has to settle back into second, and the margin between first and second, 10 laps to go.
Silk's car is just a little bit better right now than Trevor Catalano. Catalano is there. His entire family races. His 3 brothers are in the race today. His mom races. His dad, the crew chief, as they go back into turn number 1. Silk is there, putting the pressure on the young rookie.
No question. He continues to apply that pressure each and every turn. Silk looks for some daylight. Can't find it. Pulls back in the line. Trevor Catalano turning some heads here today in search of that victory. Ronnie Silk looking to end that dry spell here at the high banks of Monadnock.
Trevor Catalano grew up running tracks at Lancaster. He's got a lot of experience there. That's a big, flat, open racetrack. It's not high banks like we have here today at Monadnock, but somehow, some way, this kid out in front, holding off the reigning and 2-time series champion with 15 laps to go. Can he do it? 12 seconds a lap, and those seconds can't quick off fast enough for Trevor Catalano.
He's dealing with lap traffic. That's not going to be an easy factor. Trevor Catalano continues to work his magic at the front of the field. Silk there, looks for an opening. Silk dives to the inside.
Catalano gave him room, and he allowed Silk to have the lane to the bottom, but Silk could not make it stick. The next challenge is going to be directly ahead. They are 2 by 2 in front of the race leaders. Trevor Catalano will have to choose wisely. One good decision or one bad decision could be the difference between the checkered flag and second.
All of a sudden, Silk's car loosened up just a bit. They're pushing these cars. They come up on Melissa Byfield again as they work their magic off the turn, down the back straightaway. Good battle at the point. No one is giving up.
They got by Byfield. 10 to go for Trevor Catalano out of Ontario, New York. Silk, you see him steady on the wheel, but he is fighting that race car coming off turn 4. You don't see that out of Trevor Catalano. That car is smooth. He runs the line he wants, and he's driving like a veteran tonight. Next car ahead is Nate Wenzel. Wenzel will ride the bottom as they come off turn number 4 and see 8 laps to go.
Countdown continues. It is still Trevor Catalano setting the pace. Silk looks to the outside this time. Doesn't work. Trying to get as much momentum as he possibly can. Heavy traffic up ahead, Joe. It's not going to be an easy victory. Trevor Catalano is still holding on.
Catalano has had good runs this season at Riverhead. He had a banner day at Richmond Raceway earlier in the season. He was in contention inside the top 5. But this is as close as he has ever come around Kyle Ebersol, who cedes to the race leaders inside of 5 laps to go now as they hit the back straightaway. Silk, he is not afraid to use the chrome board. Will he use it on the rookie to knock him out of the way and get the victory today?
He's all over him as he works his magic there. Trevor Catalano, less than 4 laps remaining in this event. Silk reels him in. Heavy traffic up ahead. Jake Johnson, next target. Trevor Catalano continuing to guard that bottom lane.
Jake Johnson does not let anybody by him easily, but they will come to the line this time by. It'll be 2 laps to go. Can Trevor Catalano do it and hold on for another half mile?
All of a sudden, Silk's car loosens up. He loses some valuable ground. Here comes the checker on the next circuit. Trevor Catalano in search of that prestigious first Whelen Modified Tour victory.
Off turn number 4, Trevor Catalano, the teenager, is going to win at Monadnock Speedway. He's going to pick up his first career Whelen Modified Tour victory at the Duel of the Dog 250, and the entire Catalano family that has been working for this moment right here, they get it at the short track in Winchester, New Hampshire. Trevor Catalano and the Catalano family has won on the Whelen Modified Tour.
They certainly have, and it wasn't an easy victory. They fought and they earned every step of the way. Unofficially, Ronnie Stokes finishing in second. Patrick Emmerling managed to finish in third. Matt Hirschman for fourth. Kyle Bonsignor for 5. Woody Pitkat for 6. Justin Bonsignor came back for 7th. And then it was Matt Kimball to finish in 8th. Tommy Catalano to finish in 9th. And Austin Beers to round out the top 10. There is a very ecstatic group heading down to congratulate. They have worked so hard, and it all pays off here today.
The brothers park at the inside of turns 1 and 2. They cheer on the youngest brother, Trevor Catalano, who drives around with that Sunoco checkered flag. Everybody thought that the Catalano family was crazy for showing up with 3 modifieds in the Whelen Modified Tour. Were they going to be able to make the commitment? Were they going to be able to continue to run 3 cars all season long? And they have proved all the doubters wrong here tonight as they have won at Monadnock Speedway, the Duel at the Dog 250. You see the excitement of the crew as they make their way across, everybody pouring onto victory lane. This is a moment that the Catalano family has been working towards for years. And now they have won on the Whelen Modified Tour.
And they've done it in convincing style. Nobody can take anything away from anybody involved with that race team and that family. Congratulations and hats off. You can see everybody is ecstatic, reaching in to congratulate the young and talented driver on an event and a victory he will never forget. And this is their day, the day that the Catalanos will own a piece of the real estate in Whelen Victory Lane from the high banks for the Duel at the Dog 250. Stop number 2. We do it all over again for the Winchester Fair event coming up on September 21st.
David Catalano, his father, the crew chief on this 56 car. His brother Tommy, who's been running the Whelen Modified Tour for many years, gave all his best equipment to his brothers. And here he is, Trevor Catalano, victorious tonight at the Duel at the Dog. Let's go to victory lane at Jesse Punch.
Trevor Catalano is a winner in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, earning career win number 1 tonight here at Monadnock. All of the Catalano family in victory lane celebrating, the entire crew. This is a big one for Trevor. A lot of emotion down here in victory. We know how much hard work and love into getting this family on the racetrack every week. Trevor, congratulations. Win number 1 of your career. As I just said, we know how much hard work goes into putting you out there. We know how much racing means to the Catalano family. What does this moment mean to you?
Oh, this is awesome. You know, my mom and dad, they give us everything they can to come out here and being competitive. And they've given me everything and anything that I know. And I just can't thank my parents enough. And you know, all the way from Mike rods and everything, they give us everything they could, and you know, it's a whole family operation. You know, we all pick off of each other and try and give the best type of car we can give, and come out every week and be competitive. And man, this thing was on rails. You know, we took a call to stay out and try and take the track position, and I don't know how. I messed up a couple times, and I thought Ronnie was going to get me, and he raced me clean, and this is just awesome. I can't believe it.
Trevor, you have the defending series champion on your tail there in those closing laps. Take me through, what was your thought process there?
Yeah, I was just trying to drive as hard as I could without messing up. You know, I twitched down in 3 and 4 a couple times, and he got under me, and I just tried to keep him as tight as I could down in 1 and 2, and just hold him at bay. And man, I can't believe this. You know, I can't thank the series enough. NASCAR, Whelen Engineering, you know, just everyone that puts this on. This is awesome. Monadnock, everyone, this is a dream come true.
Well, Trevor, congratulations. You're officially a winner here in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour Series.
Thank you. This is awesome. You know, we can't do it without all our sponsors, Rocket Performance, Power and Construction, CP Ward, FX Copera, Nova Glass. Just, this is awesome.
Trevor, congratulations. Go celebrate with the family. Trevor Catalano is a winner here tonight at Monadnock. That's 2 Whelen Modified races here so far this season and 2 first-time winners. We got one more Whelen Modified race here in September. What do you guys think? We're going to see another one?
Well, the Catalano family, Ben, came in to the race here today not fond of Monadnock Speedway. They said we've struggled here in the past, but I think it's going to be a very different ride back to Ontario, New York here tonight.
You know, another big factor we want to point out in this is that this is the second time the first Whelen Modified Tour event was won by a first-time winner, Jake Johnson, and, of course, this time, Trevor Catalano. So 2 for 2, and we've still got number 3 just around the corner.
Ron Silk, a very strong run for him today. It tells you how good Trevor Catalano was at the end of that one if Ron Silk couldn't find a way around him. Let's go down to Jesse and hear from our second place finisher tonight.
Ron Silk brings it home second here tonight. Ron, you were all over that bumper there in those closing laps. What more did you need to get it done?
Probably just needed to turn the center a little bit better. I would say we were basically even, so I didn't want to knock him out of the way. He did a great job. He didn't make any mistakes. I was hoping he would make one and I could get my nose under him, but congratulations to Trevor. He did a phenomenal job and his entire team.
Still haven't picked up a win here at Monadnock. One more shot this season. Do you think this 16 team has a chance here in September?
Yeah, I think we have a shot anywhere we go, really. We've been really good both races here. You know, halfway through the race, I kind of thought we had the dominant car, but everyone got a little bit better after the stops, and second's nothing to hang your hat at.
Thanks for the time, Ron.
Thank you.
It's Ron Silk, second place here tonight.
Certainly nothing to hang your hat at, but you can tell Ron Silk wanted a little bit more. This is one of the few racetracks on the circuit that he has not been able to get to victory lane at in the Whelen Modified Tour, and man, he wanted this one tonight.
Certainly did, and of course, the car that finished in the 3rd position, what a run this team had. Again, the consistency factor has been a huge factor this season. That car and that team soon will be in the winner's circle as well.
Let's go back down to Jesse Punch.
Podium finish here for Patrick Emmerling in that number 1 car. Patrick, first year with this team. You guys are having some strong runs here. What is working now for this team?
Yeah, I just got to give it up to this whole team and Rich Coutreau and Dal and the whole team and everyone involved. I mean, we were the car to beat tonight, and you know, we had about a tenth and a half on the field, or on everyone right at the end, and just on that last restart, there was just a lot of oil up top there, and it shuffled the whole top back, and there was just no grip, and we were, you know, once we got filed out there, we were coming at the end, but just a little too late there. Yeah, I think there was just, like I said, there was someone leaking and just someone oiled up that top groove on that restart. And the top's been running good the whole race, and just on one restart, just, I don't know, someone was leaking on it and oiled it up and got us. But, yeah, just got to give it up to the whole crew here. We had an awesome car, and if we keep running like this, we'll get them wins. So just like to thank everyone involved here.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you.
That's the one of Patrick Emmerling, 3rd place.
He was indeed quick, Ben, but just came up a little bit short tonight in the 3rd place. Certainly Patrick Emmerling had a car that made some noise today. So the celebration continues on down in their victory lane. Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup, race number 2 in the book. Next time we'll be here is the Winchester Fair on September 21st. Trevor Catalano and that team are going to be very excited to come back and defend their victory here in September.
They certainly are. And, of course, this was all part of the Whelen, the Granite State Cup. And 2 events are now into the record books, and we're heading for the 3rd and final round in this one. Hats off to JDV Productions for a job well done in the presentation of this event. There's a young race fan getting a big congratulations going out as well.
The collar off the trophy, the Duel at the Dog trophy off that Bulldog. hands it off to a race fan in the crowd. How cool is that? Trevor Catalano, his first victory, and he gives away part of the trophy to a young racer.
He sure does, and a very unique trophy, to say the least, something that he will always remember and very deserving. Congratulations to all of the Catalano family. They're all winners, especially young Trevor here tonight.
Well, if I have to say so, this 250-lap format with a single tire change worked pretty good. That was a pretty exciting race. We had comers and goers, none less than Trevor Catalano, who got the victory here tonight. As we look ahead at the Whelen Modified Tour schedule, you come up on August 3rd, a couple of weeks off, and then they go to Lancaster Speedway, where the Catalanos have a lot of laps at.
Yes, they do.
And you'd expect them to be strong. A Wednesday night event in August at Thompson Speedway in Connecticut. Oswego, New York, Labor Day weekend at the end of August. And then as we move into now the second half of the season from here on out, a lot of big races still on the schedule to decide the 2024 NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour champion.
It has been an incredible season so far. New names, veterans, and old names. But only one can hang their hat on being the champion in 2024 of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour.
Tonight, it's Trevor Catalano. It's his day here at Monadnock Speedway. He claims a victory. An outstanding crowd on hand here tonight for the Whelen Granite State Short Track Cup race number 2, the Duel with the Dog 250. It lived up to the billing. There was some drama. There was some pit stop strategy. There was a battle between a rookie and a champion. And at the end of the day, it was a young rookie, the teenager, who came out on top, victorious in the 56 car for Trevor Catalano.
Certainly was.
Join us next time from Lancaster Speedway in New York. Look forward to see you there at the Whelen Modified Tour and the return of the Modifieds here at Monadnock on September 21st. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time on FloRacing.